Donald Trump is striking out against who he thinks is behind all of the chaos around the country, announcing over the weekend that the United States of America will be designated Antifa as a capital T terrorist, capital O organization, in a tweet that is technically a sentence, but means nothing. It has meaning, and that meaning is ominous, but it means absolutely nothing to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. Francesca, feel free to describe some of the reasons why that makes no sense.
I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can he do that? Maybe he can. I do know that when you designate someone a terrorist, you can then charge them and sentence them to many, many more years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some environmentalists who have taken to property destruction in the past have been sentenced to like 30 years in prison because they burned down like a car dealership, did not hurt anybody. So when you start to add the label terrorist, yeah, I mean, I think it is significant.
Yeah.
As obviously as random and as a decision that, as I'm sure that was, just spur of the moment made on Twitter.
How many minutes before he hit send do you think he had the thought to do it? Do you think he thought about it for 5 minutes?
No, but I do think there's a little bit of it. Like, I would love to get access to the group chats where Trump's like, I'm doing it. 5, 4, 3.
That would be something. So a few issues. With Antifa being a terrorist organization, it's not an organization.
Right.
It doesn't have a membership. It doesn't have a leadership. It doesn't have buildings you can raid. Like, what do right-wingers... First of all, how do they live with themselves? But what do they think is happening right now? That, like, Antifa, like the evacuation of Hoth, they're, like, getting all their equipment together and, like, dispersing. It's not an organization.
No.
It's just people who are against fascism and believe in direct action. The vast, vast majority of which probably don't know more than a couple of people who are similarly ideologically inclined. That's
a very good point.
It's just people who are against fascism. Some probably have the label anti-fascist, in their mind. Many are just people who are justifiably against fascism. It doesn't mean anything.
There is, yeah, exactly.
Because it is by its very nature such an amorphous thing, that is almost convenient for them. Because if Antifa doesn't have a membership, then anyone can be Antifa. And
if they have a mask on.
Exactly, if they have a mask.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
We're all wearing masks.
By the way, everyone should identify as being against fascism. If you do not, I have significant problems with you. But prepare, if you protest, to be an official member of Antifa. Because they are going, if this goes beyond it being a tweet, the way it will go beyond that is to be deployed against anyone and everyone that they want to lock up. Or send to Gitmo or whatever. And they're right-wingers salivating right now over the possibility of protesters being sent to Gitmo. Literally saying that.
Can I just say, like, I definitely don't, I don't condone, and I'm not, like, into every tactic that the amalgamous sort of Antifa protesters, like, take up at every protest. But I will say that Antifa has been... and not the organization, but people who go out, to the streets and, whatever, black clad, etc. They've been on the front lines against white supremacist organizing for like 40 years now, 30, like since like maybe not that long, but like for decades, they have been there at every time some extreme right wing organization, a Nazi organization wants to parade or have a protest or whatever it is. Antifa is usually the ones who are there. Now, we're more used to like coming out against coming out against fascism now under Trump because of things like Unite the Right and because of the ways that fascism has been emboldened and those Nazi organizations have been emboldened and actually come out from their whatever man caves under their moms' homes, right? But like Antifa has been there. So I would just like a little bit of a hats off to Antifa for kind of having their finger on the pulse of where these white supremacist organizations are and standing up to them. And also, I just want to clarify, they're not all white boys. All right. And that's another misconception, is that Antifa and the people who like do all these tactics and believe in direct action, that they're all like white boys, and they're not. All right. And so just out of respect to them, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. No one should be erased, especially when they're trying to protect our freedoms.
Mhm.
One more problem with the tweet is ACLU pointed out terrorism is an inherently political label, easily abused and misused. We know that. Let's be clear. There is no legal authority for designating a domestic group as a terrorist organization. Any such designation would raise significant due process and First Amendment concerns. As many people have pointed out, the KKK is not designated as a terrorist organization. You know, militias that have blown up federal buildings and stuff like that, or murdered, abortion doctors have not been labeled as terrorist organizations, even though they use the tactics of it. And this is not a situation where I've seen some people tweeting, well, then they should also designate the KKK. No, we don't designate these domestic organizations as terror organizations. As of right now, there is no legal way to do that. So let's bear that in mind. Another way that it's nonsensical, but also dangerous.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.